Welcome to the podcast, Entrepreneur Perspectives, building and protecting your business one podcast at a time, a CastSource family production. In this episode, we discuss rule changes in football, tackling support for local football associations, and Drake. Our guest today is Spencer Smith, founder and owner of Triple H Tackling Academy. Spencer is a repeat guest of the podcast. Talking football, sports, and entrepreneurship are things we all love, so bringing Spencer back for another episode was an easy decision. Triple H Tackling Academy teaches the safest tackling techniques. Spencer attended college and played football at the University of Hawaii. Spencer currently trains young kids, high school players, college athletes, and NFL players on the art of tackling. Spencer lives in Marietta, Georgia with his wife and his daughter, Audrie. Audrie was kind enough to join us for this episode. So let's get into this podcast before Audrie falls asleep. Spencer, welcome back to the Entrepreneur Perspectives podcast. And I think we have a special guest too, your daughter, Audrie. So first of all, how's it going and how's Audrie doing?
Oh, everything's going well. Thanks for having us. She's doing okay. I just gave her a old phone to play with, so she'll keep quiet over here in the background.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's all right because I think what we talked about before when we were chatting is that in entrepreneurship, there are no excuses, you know, and so many, we all have something going on, right? I have stuff going on in my world. You have stuff going on in your world, and you got to keep moving through it, right? And I mean, you know this from just coming up as a football player and playing all different levels of competition in football. And now as an entrepreneur, there are no excuses, are there?
No, there are none. Actually, I just, as we were talking about the North Cobb School, I actually got that deal with Audrie sitting behind me on the floor, tearing up papers behind me as I'm talking to the varsity head coach and defensive coordinator about what I want to do with their program. I have her behind me on the floor.
Wow.
Trying to seal this deal.
Yeah, that's it. So, and they don't care, right?
Yeah.
The deal's not off the table because Audrie's there crying. I mean, they get it, right? They maybe have kids themselves.
They do, and I think that they actually respect the fact that I brought her in rather than cancel the meeting. You know, I was like, sorry, I couldn't find anyone to watch her. She'll be fine. Let's put her here if you guys don't mind. And they're like, no. So I mean, it went really well. They really liked her too. So maybe she sold the deal actually.
That's it. Yeah. You take her around with you.
Bring her on more of these.
Every company, I've always said it. Like we're only as good as our salespeople out there. So Audrie's got a good job. You just got to pay her well.
Yeah, she gets food.
That's it. There you go. I work for food. So it sounds like you got a lot of. We chatted. It was a while ago. You're on our podcast. Obviously, we've been in touch. We love the work that you're doing. Obviously, we're huge football fans and just love the game overall. Loved it for many years. But you've had a lot of new opportunities come about with Triple H Tackling since we've had you on the podcast. Seems like a long time ago. Tell us. You just told us about one of those opportunities. What have you been working on? Where have you been? Who have you been talking to? What's been going on with Triple H?
So since the last time, I've just been, like you said, no excuses. So I've been trying to grow the audience. You know, been working with some of the local high schools. Starting with North Cobb tomorrow. I've been working with Campbell High School in Smyrna, Cartersville High School, where Trevor Lawrence is out of. He was the number one quarterback in the nation last year. I've been working with them. Been working with Kell High School, some of the youth associations in the area. But also we went to our first out-of-state clinic where we ran the first 3 days of their spring practice in Pikeville, Kentucky, which was a different experience for me.
Yeah. So you're getting out on the road now, going to Kentucky, going to these different places. When you go to these, when you're in Kentucky, what are you talking about? What are you working on when you're there?
So, I mean, with them, and each program is going to be, made specifically for each school. So, you know, their big thing was they said they needed to work on tackling and catching the ball for spring. So he allotted the first 3 days of spring to work tackling. So he found me on the internet, contacted me. What we did, though, is we don't want to just educate the players because, I mean, 3 days isn't going to do anything. I mean, he'll do a little bit, but it's not, in the big scheme of things, it takes a lot longer for somebody to learn how to hit a baseball, tackle, catch a football than 3 days. So what we did is we had a coaches clinic with them first and educated the coaches on our tackling techniques, gave them the plan of what we were going to do for the week because we wanted them to be as involved, if not more involved than us, in the sense that we want them to learn the techniques so that they could continue it on after we left. So we did the coaches clinic the first day. and we just had a three-day step-by-step approach to working the tackling that we've designed. We broadened the techniques a little bit. We've broken it down even more. Before we did just 3 styles. Now we're breaking it also down into 3 components. So each style of tackle has 3 components. We break them into position, contact, and finish. And then each of those 3 components will work in certain aspects of the tackle to really educate our coaches and players. It went really well. Probably it went a lot better than I thought, but the coach texted me afterwards, and he kind of gave me a different perspective that I never had before, was that it actually helped his offensive guys as well learning how to tackle, because they understood how to break a tackle. They understood, where, depending on where the tackler was, like, how can he defeat his leverage and all that? Because all the stuff that we teach, somebody's going to try and beat. So he said it helped their offense as well, which to me then it was worth double, since it helped out their offense and defense.
Yeah, that takes it to another level. It's interesting. My son plays soccer goalie, and I always tell him, I said, you should play some offense once in a while. I know you don't like playing the field, but if you're on offense, you get to see the goalie from a different angle, which is what you're talking about in football. Like, people are going to try and counter everything, and you have to see it from the other vantage point. It's like a lawyer. Don't just see it from your side. You have to see it from the other side, and that's what they're doing, so which I could see definitely taking it to the next level. What I also like is you're talking, and you hear about coaching clinics all the time, but I think that is a big piece of it. Like, when we talked last time, I think I said this, but at one of the fields at Mara, which is a facility here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Matthews, North Carolina, I would be coaching baseball, and right next to me, they'd be coaching football. And we'd be there for, let's say, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And during that, you would see the coaches, these players wouldn't be working on anything but the plays, right? They'd be standing around and which direction to go. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Plays are probably important. But then the ambulance is showing up at the next game because the kid doesn't know how to tackle. And maybe that's not the reason the ambulance showed up, right? But they're not teaching the proper way to actually play football. They're focused on running a play, beating the other team, and scoring a touchdown, as opposed to the fundamentals of the game. Like, when you see that, what goes through your mind when you see, like, we just spent an hour and a half working on plays as opposed to the proper way to actually play the game?
Well, I mean, it depends which level.
At a youth level, I'm talking about, right? I'm talking about very young.
I know, yeah. Well, and even at high school and college, I mean, we spend too much time scheming. Bruce Arians addressed it last year at the UGA Coaches Clinic, that we spend too much time on X's and O's and not fundamentals. It's frustrating. I get it, though. It's frustrating, but I get it, especially at the youth level. A lot of the coaches are volunteers. They're dads who may have never even played before. And some of these guys have played at high levels, and really what they want to show is what they know. But my base model when I coach, especially at the youth level, it's not what I know, it's what the kids can handle. Because it doesn't matter what blitzes I can design up and all of this and what I've learned or what I know, but if my kids can't learn it, there's no point in teaching it.
Right.
So it's frustrating because I understand it, but it's not right.
But that's where you come in, right? Because that's why they need you. And you don't exist in multiples, right? But someone needs, like, you're doing the coaching clinic. If you could show someone how to properly tackle, and then they can apply that to their next practice, everybody's better for it, because you might have some talented kids out there that will eventually get to the next level and be like, we can't have this kid on our team because he doesn't know how to tackle. He doesn't know how to do this or that because he never learned how to do it.
And that's what we're trying to get to with our certification process and there's the NFL Heads Up, which they do the certification, but it's a bit watered down because I hate to say it, but a lot of these coaches who get these certifications too, they're not coaches. I mean, just because I can take a test online doesn't make me a coach. And that's where we're trying to get to, is find the happy medium between being able to certify coaches, but also not water down our name. Because I hate to say it, I don't want to just make $250 off Joe Schmo so he can try and teach these kids that tackling does it wrong, and it's a reflection of us. Like that's not what I want when we teach the tackling. So I it's a double-edged sword because a lot of these coaches who are coaching can't coach. Like, and it's just they're not coaches, so it's kind of hard to want to coach them because I know they're going to do it wrong anyways. It's just we need more people who understand that it's not about winning and losing, especially at the youth level. My parents get mad at me all the time because I don't care if we win in sixth grade. Like, I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, I'm trying to develop guys to become great high school football players so that if they want to go to college, they can go to college. I was always brought up with the notion that winning is a byproduct of performance. So if I perform well, I'm going to stand a better chance of winning rather than if I just show up to try and win. I might play bad. I can still play bad and win just because that team's bad. You know, but what's going to happen if I need to play well and I still lose? Am I going to be okay with that? You know?
Yep.
And I've been more okay with losses if we played hard and played well than wins that we've won by 21 points. I'm not like I tell my kids, and I might be wrong, but I tell my kids if I think we should drop 56 on the team or not. And when I say if I say that I want to win 56-0, I want to win 56-0. Like, I'm hoping that they're going to win 63-0.
Right.
And I don't think there's anything that's running up the score. I don't believe in that. I believe if you're ahead, you need to take out your first string at some point and put in your second string. But if your second string goes in, you don't just run the ball. If you're a 75% passing team, you're going to pass the ball 75%. If that defense can't stop you, that's their fault.
That's right.
I have to execute. I got to get my second string ready. I've got to get my team ready, and I want them to perform. So I tell my players when I want them to win 56-0, and when they're up 14-0 at half, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
Because we're not performing. You know, I don't want my kids to ever play to the level of competition. I want them to play to their standard every time. So that's that's not just me. You know, what we do at Triple H is really try to work on the fundamentals of tackling, but it really comes down to the coaches individually. Just they've got to change their mindset. But a lot of these guys who are coaching are probably guys who played JV football or didn't play very much at all.
Absolutely.
You know, so they think I hate to say it, but it's like cops. Like most guys who I know are cops are guys who got picked on in high school or something, and now they got power. Now they're kind of power hungry. And I mean, you paying cops $35,000 a year. I mean, you're not going to get the pick of the litter. I mean, it's the same. It's the same with coaches. You're not paying your junior coaches. You're going to get, you're going to get the kind of the bottom of it. So people aren't going to do stuff for free if they're super good at it.
Well,
like some of these guys who are really good coaches are in high school or college or stuff like that.
Well, how do you deal then with parents? There's two levels you have to deal with on parents. One is if you are coaching, right? And whether you're training or coaching, that parent has these expectations of their child to do certain things. And you're like, you might not see it when they work with you immediately because it's a process that you're taking them through. And then on the other level of parents, you have this whole question of, should my child even play football? And I think they're going to get hurt. And of course, we've talked about this before. Football is a violent game. If you don't want to be in a violent game, don't play it. How do you handle just all the ongoing stuff with parents? Because I believe like you would be a great person to put in front of a group of parents, whether their kid played football or not, to talk to them just about the game and answer their questions, a Q&A style.
Yeah, with the parents, it goes one way or the other. They either like me or they don't. Because I don't really – I'm like my father, which maybe isn't a good thing in some senses, but I don't – I don't care. I don't care to the parents. I'm not there for the parents. When I'm training their athletes, yeah, their parents are paying, but I'm there for their son. I'm there for their daughter, whoever I'm training. So when they have these expectations, I got a kid with autism, and his dad thinks he could be an Olympic rugby player. Am I going to try and deter him from his goals? No, but at the same time, a lot of these goals that parents are coming to talk to me about aren't their kids' goals, it's their goals. And so, what is your kid actually working for? So it's tough because, I got some kids who are really, really good and their parents think they're awful. And I got kids who are awful, and their parents think they're really, 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 really good. And you can't tell a parent or a kid that you're not good enough, because people told me that too. And I don't ever want to tell a kid he can't do something. But I always try and keep the realization, especially when I had to do it with my high school guys last week. Just because you show up doesn't mean you're getting better. Just because your dad brought you here doesn't mean you're going to get better today. You've got to put in the work. 1% of all high school football players get a full scholarship.
Wow.
Parents don't want to hear that.
Yep.
Parents don't want to hear that. And when I drop that on them, they're like, well, what was that? Well, your son's got to do something different. Like, you coming once a week, too, isn't enough.
Yeah.
You think it's enough because Jimmy over there is not coming at all. But guess what? Jimmy isn't going to be competing for a scholarship. I hate to say it. Like, you need to compare your son to people who are going to be playing ball, not local kids at your school who were good in 6th grade. There's a whole world of people here trying to play football. Some have motivation, some don't. And the people who have motivation and want to work are the ones who are succeeding. That's just in anything in life. It doesn't have to be financial struggle. That's what everyone thinks. Well, all these people are, they had financial struggle. No, they had just some type of motivation.
Right.
So it's tough with some of the parents that have false hope. Some of the parents who don't want their kids to play. I prefer them. If I can talk to them and show them, and I tell them there's always going to be a risk. Don't tell me, I'm not telling you that your son's not going to get hurt, but if you do these things, blah, 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 your son stands less likely chance of getting hurt. And then they're a little bit more, the parents who actually don't want their kids to play, they're the easiest ones to work with. Because once you get them in, they've gotten your trust, so they trust you. They trust me to do everything for them, so they don't question anything that I do. It's the parents whose dad played in high school and he, quote unquote, hurt his knee. That's why he didn't go to Auburn, or that's why he didn't go to Georgia to play running back, because he hurt himself. But that's why you're 350 pounds now, I don't see how the two correlate, but there's a lot of people living in the past with their kids, and it's hurt. It's hurt today's generation. I'll tell you that much. It's kids come in to train, but they don't want to work out. Like, I don't blame them. At 7 years old, I didn't want to work out either. I was outside climbing trees, playing with my friends, breaking sticks off trees, or whatever I was doing, like stupid stuff.
Being a kid.
So. Yeah, and that's part of it. So when I get these young athletes, I try and let them be kids. Like, some parents get mad at me. Well, you're not doing that. I'm like, dude, like, their kid is 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like, he's been here twice, and you're expecting him to do the world already. Like, it's too much pressure. I got parents even talking about that their kids, their retirement plan. Like, retirement plan? It's like, your kid plays running back, and he's in 4th grade, and you're already saying that he's going to make the NFL. Like, come on now.
Right.
Like, people need to get some realistic goals.
Well, it's interesting because I think, as we talk about, like, where would you be best in different settings, right? Obviously, as a high school coach and teaching players how to tackle. But I think as well, working with the Pee Wee leagues, working with the high schools, working with the local community teams, right, that exist out there, and having conversations not only with the players and doing clinics for them, not only working with the coaches and making them better coaches, because then they can help those kids become better players, but also working with the parents. And that's something that I'm saying, to put that out there for everybody that's listening, that if you're a part of these associations, Spencer's the kind of person, the kind of Triple H tackling is the kind of group that you want to bring in to your group, to have them talk about those things, because I think that's real important right now, is to have that.
It is, because we want to give these parents a perspective of, like, your kid can do whatever he wants to do if he works hard enough, but there's also these statistics of getting into college for these sports. These are the scholarships. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize when they play baseball that baseball teams, I think they have like 8 scholarships. So it's not like football where you can have a 2-3 or 2-5 to qualify for the NCAA clearinghouse. Like, you have to qualify for the school, because they're not giving you a full ride. They're not giving you. So there's a lot of things that parents, I don't think understand about the recruiting process, about, what their son has to do to get in. So yeah, it's definitely something that I would love to talk. It's something we talk about with our athletes all the time, because they need to know. They need to know the facts. They need to know that it's not easy to get a scholarship. Everyone thinks it's easy to get a scholarship, and it's not. And then it's even harder to keep it once you get it.
Right.
So we go around. We talk to the youth organizations. We talk to the high schools. Sometimes they don't like what we say, but we want to be 100% real with them all the time.
Well, some people do like what you say, and that's the thing. I think in just an entrepreneurship,
some people do, yeah.
When you're running through when you're creating a product or you're creating a service or whatever it is that you do, if you just play the middle all the time, then no one's really going to care about it. But you have a belief, and you're telling that, and some people aren't going to like it, and that's just the fact of it. No matter if you're teaching someone how to tackle or helping someone with their taxes, right? It's just honesty is what it is. And I say taxes because it's tax season right now, or it just ended. It's kind of crazy, but. You talk about all these different things, and as we talk about how to tackle and the rules change, right? And we're talking more on the college and the NFL level, but then this stuff kind of bleeds itself back into high school and also, back in the Pee Wee game. But so there's two things that have changed over the last few weeks. One is there's a new tackling rule in the NFL, and as we just discussed, there's a new kickoff rule in college football, and both of these relate specifically to the work that you do. So tell us a little bit about the NFL, the new NFL tackling rule, your opinion of it, and what you think.
I think it's a step in the right direction for player safety, especially today. I mean, the players, they're worried about their safety. I guess you say back then they weren't too concerned, I guess, because they didn't really know. I'm still kind of skeptical on that. Head injuries are the only thing that causes CTE. I still believe that the food we eat, the stuff we drink, the alcohol we abuse, the drugs we abuse, also play a key into that. But they're more conscious on their safety, so we have to do something to address it. I still think it's too vague. I still think, I don't think it does the job well enough because it talks about offensive players can be penalized for engaging with the crown of their helmet in a block. A lot of these guys were taught to block like that. So, it's going to take some time to adjust. But for the tackling, I still am a firm believer that if we want to change the rule, it's got to be more concrete in the sense that if you hit above the shoulders, it's a penalty, targeting, or if you do not attempt to wrap. And that comes for corners in an open field tackle when they dive and they just throw their shoulders out. To me, that's a targeting call. Like the play, New Orleans versus Minnesota, that the New Orleans safety missed that last play, which I posted on my Instagram, and actually Ryan Clark from NFL Live and I actually got into it in a kind of a personal message because he was mad at me for posting it, saying I was calling out the player. And in my caption, I'm clearly calling out the coaches. One, for not teaching them on the situation, how to handle it. Two, his break was poor getting to the tackle, but also his attempt at the tackle was awful. But to me, he should have had a flag thrown on him for targeting, because if you watch him, he doesn't attempt to wrap up. And to me, targeting is if you're trying to throw your body at someone to, get them down or inflict pain or whatever it is, that's targeting. If I'm going to tackle you, well, no shit, you're my target. You have the ball. I'm going to you are my target. Like, that's why I don't like that rule. I think if you're going to call it, though, it's got to be if you do not attempt to wrap and you're above the shoulders, it's a penalty. I think just leaving the crown of your helmet. Cause some people do that reaction. Like when you get scared, you kind of, throw yourself away. So your head kind of goes down, your shoulders come in. Like what happens? But I think if you really want to change the rule, you got to make guys start to wrap.
Yeah.
These guys are targeting, throwing their bodies at people, and to me, that's more of a targeting call than just trying to blow somebody up and wrap it up.
Yeah, that's interesting how you kind of took that approach, because he whiffed, right? But in a way, that is the targeting thing, just because what they say, right? You light someone up and you take them out, that necessarily might not be targeting. It just looked really bad live because the guy got hit so hard, but maybe it was a clean tackle. I don't know. But you're kind of saying, well, no, actually, it was targeting, even though he completely missed him, right? But his intent was still what you're saying was the same, was the negative, the way you're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, because, he's throwing his body at him, trying to hit him, in a sense that, he's saying, He has no attempt to tackle. Like, there's no attempt to tackle it. To me, a tackle is when you attempt to wrap. If his arms go forward, by all means, no penalty. But if he's going to throw himself as a weapon or as a missile at somebody, to me, that's targeting. The other stuff, if I go to tackle you super hard and you have the ball, well, no duh, you're my target. That's what I'm supposed to do, is get you down. It's just they're not doing enough on the rule changes. They're not doing enough to educate the players after the fact on how to tackle. Everything we do is proactive in football. It's reactive in football. It's not proactive. We're not teaching the guys how to tackle. We're teaching them, afterwards how to heal yourself. But at that point, it's too late.
Yeah.
We're putting all these safeties on our people with, we want our guys to tackle bags. Well, yeah, you're tackling a bag all week, they're safe, but you're doing it wrong all week. So when that bag becomes a person, that's why you're hurt again. So I've really tried to get away from even using bags as much. I think it makes us, I don't want to say soft. I've been trying to get away from, soft or being aggressive or being tough or you're scared, because some of these kids are intimidated by that off the get-go when you use those words. So, try to use more words like be confident, or, use an active shoulder, we just try and use words with guys who haven't played before. Try and use words that are less aggressive for them, because like I said, we're not trying to change the sport. I want the kids to be aggressive. I want them to be confident. If they think it's just an aggressive sport, they're not. Somebody don't want to play, And my dad used to say a line I used to love the most is, a coach used to always tell me, get pissed off. Get pissed off. That's the ultimate football line. Get pissed off. And my dad, I said it to a kid about a year and a half ago. And afterwards, my dad came up and he goes, I didn't like what you said about get pissed off. I'm like, but Dad, sometimes you got to get pissed off to play. He goes, it's not really you're pissed off. You're competitive. So that's one of our sayings too. Don't get pissed off. Get competitive. Because when you get pissed off, you lose your train of thought. You black out. You're not productive. But when you get competitive and you get in that zone like Michael Jordan or Tom Brady, it's a difference between aggression and competitive. You know what I'm saying? There's a huge difference between getting pissed off and getting competitive. But they're very similar at the same time. But to me, if you get pissed off, that hinders your performance, and competitiveness is going to enhance our performance. It's our ultimate goal.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you say all this stuff, because it's important. Now we go into the college football, right? Because that's the targeting rule does exist in there, and players are getting kicked out of it. But the big change that happened this week, that we're talking about on this podcast, is the new kickoff rule, where on these kickoffs in college football, if you're anywhere between the back of the end zone all the way to the 25-yard line, you can now fair catch the ball, and the ball gets placed on the 25. So if a team kicks off and you're on the 15-yard line and you fair catch it, you automatically get the ball on the 25-yard line. What's your take on that?
Yeah. My take is, I don't know why we're trying to just take out kickoffs altogether if you're going to do it. I get they're trying to help with player safeties, and we talked prior where we're trying to change. We want to allow the games where kids want to play. Don't get me wrong, we want participation, we want kids to play, but football's not meant for everyone. Basketball is not meant for everyone. Tennis is not meant for everyone. But I don't see tennis changing rules saying that the court's going to be bigger so that I can play. Because I can't keep the ball in the white lines, ref, so I need it a little bit bigger. I don't see them changing. Maybe it has nothing to do with safety, but maybe it does, because I can't move in tight spaces because I'm going to turn my ankles. I don't know. It's just, I think we're trying to accommodate too much of, because it comes down to money. If we're losing participation, they're losing money. And they're trying to do everything they can to save the money. But to me, the way you're going to save money and make money is you've got to put money into educating your players. Guess what? If your players know how to block, how to take on blocks, how to tackle, you minimize the risk of injuries in these incidences, on kickoff or kick return or punt, on an offensive play, defensive play. if you teach your players the techniques that you talked about instead of spending an hour and a half of schemes, maybe we're not having these conversations because the kids know how to take a hit. They know how to give a hit. They know how, like, there's techniques to those things. There's techniques on how to fall from taking a tackle. That's why I like my kids going player on player, because I want my kids to learn how to fall. I want my kids to learn how to take a hit. I want them to learn how to give a hit. So it's I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb. I think if you're gonna change the kickoff rule, just change it to where it's gone. Hey, we're just start the ball and put the 25, put it back on the 20, and we're going from the 20-yard line every play, and then whatever. And then now you've gotten rid of 2 scholarships too. You can get the defensive players off in the play, so you don't need a kicker anymore.
Right. Well,
so, there you go.
Well, it takes a lot of strategy out, because what it is, and first of all, I don't know if there's studies. I have not seen anything, and I've heard other people that are following this stuff way closer than I am to say that they're not proven studies to show that more injuries happen on a kickoff than in another time during the game. And a lot of the injuries on kickoffs actually happen on the first engagement, which is still going to happen anyway, not the actual player who's returning the kick getting hurt.
No, and before, the main concussions came from when there was the wedge, and they got rid of the wedge. I was actually, my freshman year, I was the smallest player in Division I. I was 185 pounds. I think it was left wedge, the left side of the wedge. It was brutal, because you're coming together. You got 3 guys coming at you full speed. It was a collision. That's where the injuries happen, is on the wedge. Like you said, it's not really the guy getting tackled. It's the front line of engagement, the front line of the kickoff return. But they got rid of the wedge, which was, to me, the most impact. When they got rid of that, I understood. You're asking. That's crazy with some of the stuff we had to do. No, I think it's silly. I think it takes away from strategy. But I think if you're going to do it, if you're taking away the strategy of the kickoff, just take it away altogether.
Right. Well, and the strategy that players have, or that the teams have, is, and I don't know what the percentages right now are, but if a team starts from inside their own 20-yard line, the odds of them scoring a touchdown go way down. And if they go to the 25 or beyond that, they go way up. And so you'd have teams, like there's a lot of teams out there that kick, Ohio State fan, right? They kick it to the corner. They did a horrible job of this last year, but they would kick it to the corner, and they'd rush down with their amazing athletes and tackle the guy in the 15-yard line, increasing the odds that other team would not score a touchdown. So they played those odds in their favor. Once in a while, they'd give up a big return. That strategy's out of the game now. And football there is a strategy to the game of football besides all the technique stuff that we talked about, which makes the game so interesting. But now you're eliminating that part of it, and it's kind of like you said, in something else, like it waters it down a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it does. And my coach actually, he gave us I don't know if it was a true study, but he pretty much said wherever you start on the football field, the yardage going to the end zone is your percentage to score. So if you start on the 20, the 20-yard line. Behind you is the chance. If you start on the 20-yard line, your chances to score are 20%. You have an 80% chance not to score.
Yep.
If you start on the 50, you got a 50% chance to score because you're almost in field goal range already. So he used to break it down like that. If you're on the opponent's 20-yard line, you've got 80% chance to score.
What do you see as the future with tackling coaches in the NFL or in college football?
I'm hoping that they're coming.
Yeah.
I think it's because if you watch the game, they need something. Hoping to start a trend over at Kell High School soon. Become their tackling coordinator at the high school level. Maybe we can set a trend here for the upper classifications. But we're gonna. It needs to happen. Like I said, we're being way too proactive in a lot of our situations. And reactive, and we've got to be more proactive. That's what everyone preaches from since I've been a kid. You got to be more proactive, and yet the NFL can't do that. They're being reactive. You've got a NFL heads up thing that's supposed to help your players and coaches, and you hear from everyone that it doesn't. So why not try and change it? And stop being, naive to the fact that just because you're in the NFL doesn't mean you can coach. You know, I have a NFL guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he said a lot of guys just are coaching because their best friend is a coach. Like, that's the reason why they got the job. You know, so coaches don't coach. You know, I had him working for the first session with me for tackling, and he's like smiling at me. I'm like, what are you smiling for?
Right.
And he goes, I haven't been asked stuff like this since high school. And I go, well, you're getting the answers wrong. He goes, I know, because I haven't been asked. And he goes, I haven't been coached like this in a while. And, I mean, he liked it a lot, but, you know, some of the NFL guys don't like being coached like that because they, you know, their coaches make them feel like they know everything, you know. So, you know, they say they don't have to learn anything. But there's a lot of learning still that needs to be done for these NFL guys, you know, for anyone, coaches, players, trainers, anything. You know, we all need to keep learning.
Right.
So.
Well, hopefully that's where it is going. So with Triple H, we've talked about this before, but I think it's important, especially as we have high school coaches and clinics and organizations listening. The meaning of Triple H: head up, hit low, hold on. Explain that.
So those are the three essential keys to really make a tackle. I mean, we do more than that. We talk about leverage and all that, but those are the three main concepts. If your head's up, you can see your target, you're staying safe. You hit low, we're taking away the legs, which is going to keep him from running, which makes us more effective and keeps us safer. And then we hold on. We finish the tackle. That's gonna, even if you don't go down to the ground, I got 10 friends coming to knock his head off. So either he's going to go down voluntarily when he sees a 310-pound lineman coming at him, or he's gonna take a hit and he's going to go down. So those three essential keys are what we really pride ourselves on, whether, you know, maybe our head's on the wrong side or we're hit with the wrong shoulder, so the wrong foot. But if I keep my head up, I hit low, and I hold on, those things will keep me, one, safe, and two, make me more effective. So those are just kind of three basic things that we really preach over and over.
That's great because, I mean, that's the type of stuff where you can explain that very succinctly and use that and ingrain that into your players' heads, right, so they understand what it is that they're doing. You're giving great advice. What's your best piece of advice you'd give to young athletes on the football field?
Football field, baseball, I don't care what it is. Just work hard. If you want to become the best football player, the best baseball player, best volleyball player, whatever it is, just work hard. Just because you show up doesn't mean you're going to get better. You know, you've got to put a deposit into that bank account every day. So if you're going to train with your coaches or your trainer or your friend or whatever it is, don't just go through the motions. Don't just show up and say, "Oh, we got better," because showing up isn't going to make you better. You've got to put in work, and you've got to do it right, and you've got to do it with a purpose. If you're not doing it with a purpose, there's no point. So just work hard. That's it. Work hard and follow your dreams.
Spencer, that's great advice. I appreciate you sharing that with us, all the different things you talk about with the game of football. You obviously have this knowledge. I agree with you. I think tackling coaches are needed. You know, we see it just as the average fan watching the game. You just see things like you talked about, the missed plays, not understanding truly how to tackle. It starts at a very young level, but it carries on into, you know, the collegiate level and the professional level. So you sharing that stuff with us is important. We want to make sure you get in front of the right people. Like I said, schools, organizations, you should be talking to not only the players, but to the coaches, the commissioners, and the parents. So we want to help you do that. I think that's important. Hopefully this podcast can be part of that, getting you in front of those types of organizations. So what we want to do now is ask you some more, get more of a rapid fire, learn a little bit more about you personally. So we'll go fast on these.
Okay.
So I'll ask you the questions, respond back. That's what we do with our guests, and go from there, man. We'll say our goodbyes.
All right, sounds good. I'm ready.
What is your favorite part of your job?
Seeing kids, you know, when they use the techniques or they finally understand something and they do it and they have that self-satisfaction, you know, just they accomplish something, you know, just when the athlete knows that they've got better, that's the best part of my job.
Yeah. What is your favorite city to travel to? I know you went to school in Hawaii, you played college at Hawaii, but what is your favorite city to travel to?
The next one.
The next one. I love it. Always looking ahead.
Yeah, the next one. I've been to Hawaii. They're all great. I mean, probably of all of them, it's either been Hawaii or Japan in Kobe, Japan. So one of the two, but I always look forward to the next.
Whatever's coming up next.
The next place I'm going.
I like that. I like that. All right. So you have to kill some time, right? You got some downtime in between practices and sessions. You got your daughter Audrie with you. But what is your favorite thing to do to kill time?
Right now, relax and sleep. With the new baby,
that's
if
good.
I can, I want to relax.
Smart.
But I mean, really, some people say they don't stop. I mean, like I don't stop moving. Like my wife gets mad at me because I can't lay in bed for more than 10 minutes when I wake up in the morning. I don't have much time to kill really anymore either with the baby. So, but if I do, I just want to relax and sit on the couch and really I just want to try and do nothing.
If you weren't in football and I took you out of the game of football, what career would you be in?
I'd probably still be in construction, unfortunately.
Okay. So you've taken football to take you to another level. That's why you must love the game of football.
Yeah. I mean, I taught for a little bit. I didn't like teaching in the school settings. So I went to construction because that was really, I hate to say it, that's all I was qualified to do. I mean, that's all I didn't really know much about it, but I could learn about it. But I mean, I can't be a lawyer. I can't be a doctor. I didn't go to school for those things, so I'd be just working a day job somewhere, whether it's construction or a sales job. I'd probably be a sales job somewhere, but I don't even like doing that. So I really don't know. I don't know what I would.
You're doing what you were meant to do.
That's part of the problem
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem with the NCAA is they don't prepare you for kind of what to do besides, what to do after. So, don't know. I'd probably be in construction, though, if I had to guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're in football. I think you got a long career ahead of you in the sport. As you secure business, there's a lot of different ways you can get business, word of mouth. You do a lot on social media. I know one of your friends and coworkers, Chad Jordan's helping you out with your social media. But for business, what is your favorite social media app today?
Instagram, just because I know how to use it.
Instagram,
I feel like that's where most of my athletes are on. But it's the one that I'm most savvy with. That I just like using. But it's just because I know how to use it mostly. But I'm starting to really see some benefits in Twitter. I'm just not good at it. Like I said, my coworker Chad, he likes to call himself the coup, the chief of operations or whatever. I forgot what chief of operations, right? That's the coup.
You said
something like that. Yeah. So
chief operations officer. There you go.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So we call him that. He's got me this year. I mean, he's been running the Twitter and the social media. He's already up. We were at like 230 at the beginning of the year followers.
Yeah.
Right now we're over 600. In a couple months. So
that's awesome.
All genuine follows and and all that. So but Instagram is definitely my favorite.
Yeah. So what are some upcoming athletes that you're working with that we should be looking out for?
We've got Brendan Langley with the Broncos. Especially with Talib being released. He's gonna have a shot to make some noise. He got some playing time as a rookie year. He learned a lot, so hopefully he can get better this year and show his value. Chris Landrum of the Los Angeles Chargers. I think he's maybe ready for a breakout year this year. He's been doing some stuff with us. We have a couple college guys. I don't know if I'm allowed to say their names, so I don't want to get them in trouble, so I'm not gonna say it. But we have a couple college guys, big time programs in the SEC, a couple in the MAC, a couple in the ACC. So we got some guys, we got some high school guys also there that are really coming up. That I'm excited to see. But NFL wise would be like Brendan Langley, Chris Landrum would be the two that I'd really point out to have a pretty big year this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to check that out. So do you listen to music during your sessions or before your sessions to kill time?
Before, during, and after.
Before, during, and after. All right, so you like Spotify or Pandora or something else?
Pandora irritates me because you put on edited music and some edited stuff will come out. And then Spotify I don't really know how to use. So I don't really like. I'm old school since I don't download music. I still buy my music from Apple Music. Like I don't subscribe to Apple Music because I find a couple songs I like. I make a playlist. I listen to them. So I buy them. I buy everything I buy. I want to support the artists. So I'm hoping that someday somebody will want to support me and pay for my services. So
there you go.
I still pay that 99 cents for the new single. Like right now, Audrie's favorite song is "God's Plan" by Drake. And you think I'm kidding? We went on our first flight. I took her to where I was born in Clearwater, Florida, this past weekend. We took her on the flight, and I told my wife before that whenever she cries, like in the car, she cries here. Like when we get off here, she's probably gonna need a nap, so I'll put on God's Plan and I'll dance with her. She'll fall asleep on my shoulder. But on the plane, she was crying, and I had her on my lap. My wife starts kind of panicking, and I go, just hand her over here. So she handed her to me. I put her on my lap, started bouncing her up and down, and I started singing God's Plan by Drake. And I promise you, I sang it. I was on the third time into the song, and I want to tell you, she was done crying, but she fell asleep by the third time I was singing the song. And my wife looked at me. I said, "I told you." I mean, she was like, "Oh my God, like that is so weird."
Unexpected, right? Like I did not expect that.
Yeah. No, God's Plan by Drake and that new song "Plug Walk" by Rich the Kid. She really likes right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, she starts dancing. It's funny.
Yeah.
But
she's gonna go viral, just falling asleep listening to this to Drake.
Yeah. No, she it's funny, man. Like she'll pass out listening to it. But yeah, no, definitely. I don't really listen to the apps. I buy the music, and I make a playlist of depending on who I have. NFL guys, I can have unedited stuff. But I always buy 2 songs. I buy the edited and the unedited.
Okay.
One for my baby and my athletes, and then I like the explicit stuff for me when I'm alone in the car. So I'll listen to that. But I buy each song twice.
It makes sense. You got to know your audience. All right. So besides the players that you're working with, who is your favorite player to watch tackle?
Eric Berry, Earl Thomas, Harrison Smith, Luke Kuechly. Those 4, they're to me they're very efficient in their tackling. I'd like to do some stuff with Luke Kuechly because I feel like he has a little bit too much concussions from time to time from the way that he hits. But just his passion, his pursuit to the ball is like something that I've never seen.
Yeah, well, he's a local guy
Earl
here,
Thomas and Eric Berry.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
but
awesome.
They're
some of the best, right?
Yep.
Well, and you post a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I think that's great. So I think people should follow your Instagram account, and because you guys highlight some of the good and the bad that exists out there, not only in NFL but just anywhere in football. So it's definitely a good account to watch.
When we do highlight some of the bad things, but when we highlight those bad things, a lot of people, some people comment on there like, "Why are you hating?" I said, "I'm not because I don't hate. I never hate on the player." Especially if you post something bad, I don't know if you've noticed, but we always try and at least point out that it's the coach's fault. Like the players are put in a position to make plays, so they're a reflection of the coaches. So whenever we see those bad things, like, we try not to point out to the players because sometimes it's not their fault. They've never been taught anything else. So we really try and make a distinct correlation between these great players probably have great coaches, and these guys are making bad plays probably don't have such great coaches. It's a reflection. So, we try and if we put anything negative on there, we try and at least call out the coaches because I don't feel like a hater if I'm calling out a coach because I'm a coach as well. When I start calling out NFL players, people are like, "You're just jealous," and I go, "Well, yeah, I am jealous of the NFL. I'm not debating that. Like, I would love to be playing in there.
Right.
I'm not attacking the player.
Right. Well, you just call it like you see it. I mean, it's pretty obvious, Spencer. Like you see what you see and you make the decision, make the call. Some people are going to like it, other people aren't, but that's what it is, right? When you create any product, service, idea, you put it out there. Some of the greatest people in our country or in the world have ever, put something out there and they were hated for it. But on the other end of it, it was very polarizing. They were loved for it. And, I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're creating your own category in the world of football, and I think that's pretty awesome. And we appreciate you coming on here and sharing your stories and ideas and thoughts and some of the stuff people aren't going to like and other people are going to like it. So we do appreciate your time. We appreciate Audrey's time. You did great, but Audrey was even better. So we'll talk more for sure down the road, and we'll be watching your guys and you. So we appreciate it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for having us, and hope to be on again soon. And just everyone keep educating yourself, whether it's in football, work, or life, whatever it is. Just keep educating and keep an open mind. That's one thing that's going on in this world. We have too many closed minds. I think that's why we're having some of the issues we're having in this world. We treat everyone the right way, and don't have to necessarily please everyone, but treat them with respect and be honest with them, and we'll be in a lot better situations later on. So try to make this world a better place, everyone, besides just in sports.
There you go. Words of wisdom. We appreciate that. Well said. Thanks a lot, Spencer.
Thank you.
Spencer, it was absolutely awesome having you on this podcast. From the insights into the world of football and his no-excuse mentality, Spencer is an entrepreneur we can all be motivated by. The perspectives from Spencer on always learning no matter what your craft is and staying true to your beliefs are now perspectives you as a business owner and entrepreneur can use for yourself. And for that, Spencer, thank you. And for anyone looking to learn more about the art of tackling, I would encourage you to reach out to Spencer. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can contact me on Twitter at Eric_Kaz or with the same name on Instagram, or you can find us at KazSource.com with links to us on the different social networks. Thank you for listening to our KazSource podcast, Entrepreneur Perspectives, building and protecting your business one podcast at a time. Until next time, we're out of here. This podcast exists in large part because of KazCM, the content marketing business inside KazSource Inc. KazCM is excited to bring the content marketing services used at KazSource to you. Learn more by visiting KazCM.com. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It's a big deal to us. We hope you found value in it, and if you did, we would be incredibly grateful if you gave us a review on iTunes. Remember to subscribe to this podcast and feel free to share it with anyone you know. More than anything, thank you again for listening. We appreciate it.